not men because we face the battle and we get immediately victory every time a battle comes up. We're men because we face the battle and we stay in the battle when we feel like we're losing and we feel like we're getting beat up. But we stay in there and we keep fighting and we plant our feet and we say, until death do I part, this is me and I will fight this battle, regardless of what the battle is.
If you think about, like, people understand video games. So it's like if you were playing a video game and the way to win the game was to make the most successful character, right? You would have probably a really character-driven human being in terms of, like, they'd be patient, you know, they'd be hardworking. Like, you think about all these traits that they would have, right? They'd probably be tough emotionally, like, etc. All right, cool, that's the character. And that's the person who's going to be really successful. We can all probably agree on that. Okay, how do you create someone who's patient? How do you create someone who's tough? How do you create someone who, right, so all of a sudden, if we had to then engineer the game in order to boost those points, we'd have to get them beat up a lot so that they could get tough. We'd have to make them wait a long time so they could become patient. And so, to the point that you made about, like, these people who become really successful have these traits and also share the fact that they've been through all this shit. It's like, well, they got the trait from the shit, and then the trait was the ultimate output of the experience, and that trait then made them super successful that they didn't have earlier.
There's a hell of a lot more to you than you think, like way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world. And you, if you had enough courage, you could let that out. Enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. Really, really. And so that's a good story, and it's also true. And so I'm trying to tell that story.
Success is the only revenge. It's not the ultimate revenge. It's the only fucking revenge. The path that you're on, that you're trying to create, you getting to that point where it's undeniable that you have achieved that, to where every single human being that has ever with you whatsoever, that thought, there's no way, it's not gonna happen, there's no way they're gonna do that, which, by the way, I've been told all of it my whole fucking life. I don't have to say a motherfucking word anymore. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to talk shit. I don't have to say, hey, watch what I do, or this is day one, or wait until you see me. Motherfuckers just know. They know, okay? And because they know, and because that story is undeniable, other people that come from the same hood I came from over here in South St. Louis, those people look at that and they say, dude, if that dude did it, I can fucking do it. And that's the whole point.
I bet you and I have a lot in common. We're not the strongest, smartest, or richest people we know. We're not the fastest or most connected. We're not the best looking or most talented. We don't have the best genetics. But what we do have is something a lot of those other people will never have: the will to work. If there's one unavoidable truth in this world, it's that there is no substitute for putting in the work. There is no shortcut or growth hack or magic pill that can get you around the hard work of doing your job well, of winning something you care about, or of making your dreams come true. People have tried to cut corners and skip steps in this process for as long as hard work has been hard. Eventually, those people either fall behind or get left in the dust, because working your ass off is the only thing that works 100% of the time for 100% of the things worth achieving. Work works. That is the bottom line. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, my entire life has been shaped by that single idea.
The one thing that made me who I am today is being vulnerable. It's breaking myself down to the absolute rock bottom and being able to tell people who I am. And that's how I fixed it. Literally, being able to look somebody in the eyes, you know what, man? I have a whole bunch of character problems, character flaws. I've lied about this. I've cheated here. I'm insecure here. This isn't the real me. I lied to you about that. I wanted your acceptance in life. All those things happen, but the thing about it is that we get judged so quickly by who we are. We don't know. We don't go to where it happened. You know, life created this person, me. Life created me to be this f***ed up person that I was back in the day. And I had to realize, man, that's okay, man. It's not my fault. Now I gotta go back and fix this shit, though. So a lot of this isn't your fault, why you do some things you do, why you feel the way you feel. But no one's coming back to save your ass. You have to go back to where the shit started, wherever that place is for everybody, and have the courage to go back there and start fixing what broke you. And that's when I was like, hey, I'm fucked up. I'm gonna go back and fix this stuff.
I think you either have to have a really big carrot, which everyone talks about, like finding your passion or whatever. And like, I actually am pretty against it. I think that most people who are like in the beginning of the game, like you don't have a passion yet. Most of you, like most people are like, man, I just love this one thing. But everybody has shitloads of pain. Like that, like a lot of people like can't find passion. It's like, can you find pain? And they're like, yep, I got lots of that. I got anger, I got shame, I got pain, whatever it is. I'm like, cool. Well, the first rule of entrepreneurship is use what you got. And so like, if that's what you got, then burn that.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to necessarily find this passion, like this beautiful carrot, because that, to me, that's not what got me going. For me, I think it was like away from fear, which is like, I knew like in my bones that I would rather die than go back home and like fail.
Be a good man, don't be a nice guy. And what that meant in our world was, hey man, when you're confronted with something where you need to fit in and do something that's against your character and your values and beliefs, you don't need to be a nice guy. You need to be a good man, right? Something comes up, you need to stand up for something that you believe in. Be a good man, don't be a nice guy, you know? And that's, I think it manifests itself in every single area of life. I think it's a profound thing. Be a good person, right? You can, you know, rather than just a nice person. I think when you decide you're going to just be a nice guy and kind of blend in, you are now living with a false belief that you weren't born to do something great with your life and you're supposed to exist. I think when you start to have this knowing that I'm supposed to do something great with my life, I'm supposed to make a difference, I'm supposed to have something, it doesn't have to be in big, whatever people measure as big ways, big Academy Award, small, you open the door for somebody who needs it. They're both great things in your life, right? And so I think people start to blend in the minute they begin to believe they've got no destiny. They've got nothing to offer. They've got nothing to contribute. And then all of a sudden, that's the disease. The symptom is they become a nice guy. The symptom is they fit in.
Be your age. Be your age, and just embrace the process. And don't look for what you are supposed to be fully, completely polished, sharpened, edged, tempered at 26 or 36, at 46. You've got a lot more forge time left. You've got a lot more hammer blows left, and it takes time. But if you will patiently embrace the process, then by the time you get up in years, you can be a man that you're proud of.
Life is a crazy roller coaster, especially this life, you know, so we've ups, we've downs, but I find I'm at my best when I set out, when I say and when I must do something and I know I must do it and I do it, I execute it.
And you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and then you're gonna win. And that's life. Life without those challenges, it's just existence. Don't just exist. Go live. Eventually, inaction will cost you. Just get up, move towards that challenge, whatever that challenge is. Move towards that challenge and go attack it. And you may be successful and you may not be successful, but you will be better.
A real person, a real alpha, a real go-getter, they ain't saying shit about nobody. Right. That's why you will never, ever hear me dropping somebody's name, running my mouth about somebody. I don't know what you went through. I don't know what you're going through. I didn't wear the shoes you wore when you were a kid. I didn't grow up in your up house. I didn't have your up family. I don't know shit about you. So guess what I do? Shut the up. Because real men don't say shit. Because first of all, we're too busy trying to grind and be better.
Correct.
Second of all, unless we know what we know, we shut our fucking mouth. But nowadays, there's not many real men who live by that creed of like, you know, if you're on social media running your mouth and shit, you're just a bitch.
Correct.
You're honestly, and that's not me trying to be some after school special shit. You really are a bitch. Real men ain't doing it. Real men don't care about that gossipy bullshit. Get to work, man.
Right.
That's it.
When you feel that pressure inside of you and it's very heavy, like weather that's very, heavy and thick, You're motivated. You feel it. I've got to get up in the morning. I've got to do this. I've got to accomplish this. When that pressure goes away and you don't feel any pressure in your life, you can do anything and there's no consequences for it. You'll just waste time. You'll waste years. You'll waste months. You'll never accomplish anything.
If you can barely decide to take any action at all and peel your eyes away from your phone for just a moment, it's so much easier to beat everyone else because most people are overweight, they're distracted, they're poor, they have so few skills because it has never been easier to start a business, to make money, to get in shape. It's just also never been easier to do nothing. And so in a world where it's never been easier to do nothing, doing something becomes extraordinary.
I want to see people win. I want to see people win. And if we can continue to find real examples of supporting one another, especially within our culture, if we can really define moments where like we're helping to elevate, amplify, that shit is contagious. After a while, you got no choice but to follow suit.
Every motherfucking champion, every single one. And Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, fucking all the greatest achievers, fucking Steve Jobs, all of them have tremendous amounts of dark energy, and that's what they operated on. You can't just pout and scream and kick your fists and say it's not fair, because guess what? It isn't fair. It's never going to be fair. It's never been fair, and you screaming and throwing a tantrum about it is irrelevant. No one cares. The world doesn't care. God doesn't care. Your family doesn't care. It's not fair, motherfucker. Get that through your brain, okay? Now, take all of the negative shit, all the shit your parents said, all the shit your cousins said, all the shit your friends and family said, all the laughter, all the doubts, all the eye rolls, all the shit your girlfriend said, and start to remember that shit. Don't memory hole it in some place and forget about it and say, oh, my trauma. No, say, hey, you for not believing me. Now I'm going to go out. I'm going to use this energy to become so big, so successful, so powerful, so undeniable that when I walk in the room, you look at the fucking floor. That's what you want to be.
Love your life, right? You know, find the things that you can enjoy. Be curious. You don't have to have all the answers, but just be curious, because you don't have to have the answers. You don't have to know what you're going to be when you grow up. I'm a hardcore believer that everybody has something that they're really, really, really good at that could be world-class great. Every single human being on this planet. And the hard part is just finding what that is. And in some places having resources to enable it. But be curious so you can find out what it is. For anybody young out there listening, you know, enjoy your life, find things to smile about, be curious, read, watch, expose yourself to as many different ideas as you can, because something's going to click at some point. You may be 15, you may be 25, you may be 55, but it can happen.
Why are you waiting for somebody else to believe in you and to have more control? You got to gamble on yourself. You got to know that, hey, listen, when I gamble on myself, I have the utmost confidence. I know what the outcome is going to be. Put your health in your own hands. Put winning in your own grasp. Don't wait for somebody else to hand it to you. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your abilities. Not only do you have to believe in them, you have to work in them. You have to excel in them. You have to understand them. If you're not willing to gamble on yourself, I'm not going to gamble on you.
Don't waste your time. Do you know that everybody alive gets exactly the same amount of time we get all there is? It's what we do with it that makes a difference. Don't waste your life. Set your goals high. Quit thinking about what's wrong. Start thinking what's right. Love a little more, hate a little less. You have no idea what you're capable of doing. Make up your mind today, you're going to figure it out.
You know, if you take people, and I've told you this, and you expose them voluntarily to things that they are avoiding and are afraid of, that they know they need to overcome in order to meet their goals, their self-defined goals. If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, by your own definitions, right, within the value structure that you've created, to the degree that you've done that, what would you be like?
Well, you know, there are remarkable people who come into the world from time to time, and there are people who do find out over decades-long periods what they could be like if they were who they were, if they spoke their being forward. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and we don't know the limits to that. We do not know the limits to that.